I'll read. So, is it OLBG or OMG? Um, I'm just jumping on to do an update on OLBG off yesterday's results, Saturday, the 10th of Feb. It's now Sunday morning. Um, as you can see, I've got highlighted. This is a filter on just yesterday's tips and the results, and there is a hell of a lot of red. It was an absolute disastrous day to the extent of minus 21.93 points, so nearly minus 22 points. Absolutely mental. As the day went on, it was just loss after loss after loss. You'd have been better off just doing like a random number generator between 1 and 3 and putting a home draw or an away on, I think. Just every single result seemed to go the wrong way. If I drop down here, you can see we lost. What's that? We lost, it looks like about 9 out of the first 10 bets of the day. Talk about never back the early kickoff. Yeah, mate. And then this is midday here. By the end of midday, we'd lost like 9 out of 10. Picked up a little bit, and then we got to the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and they were just an absolute disaster. I think there was about 41, and we lost 25 of them, starting from this one here, the Liverpool game, all the way down. And oh, look at this bit here. It's just like 3 wins in all those games. Even I think above the 3 o'clock kickoffs, if I go back up a little bit, these 5 here, the 5 straight defeats here, all the German Bundesliga. With predicted 5, we've got 5 tips for the German Bundesliga, and all 5 lost. Dear me. I mean, there was 1, 2, 3 draws. The first 3 were draws, so that's probably explains that one. But down here, if I take these from here, Barnsley, dear me, it was absolutely shocking. I couldn't actually believe. Look, I mean, I say luckily, it doesn't really make much difference. Well, first of all, luckily we're paper trading, although I did have £1 on all my expert tips, and I'll come on to those, and the values. I put £1 on the value ones as well. But you can see those last 12 there picked up a little bit because we only lost 3 out of the last 12. So we're positive 6. We had 9 winners and 3 losers, and that I think there was a couple of points profit if I remember correctly. 2.07 points profit there. So it did pick up a little bit, but if we look at the analysis then, and I need to decide what we're going to do with Saturday and Sunday. Obviously, it's Sunday today, so I'm going to put today's results in. I'm going to keep putting the results in anyway. It's just whether I bet, when I start betting on this, when I find a system to use and I start using real money. Well, when I say real money, over quid stakes, because I'm using pound stakes at the minute, so it is real money, I suppose, but not. Although it would have been minus £22 down if I'd put these bets on yesterday. 77 bets yesterday, and we were minus 21.93 points down, which if I'd put £1 on each of the 77, that'd have been 22 quid down. Anyhow, I need to find, when I do find a strategy that I'm going to go forward with, I'll start using whatever stakes, depending on the size of the bank I put into it. So, looking at this, and there's your minus 21.93. There was 77 bets. You can see here, even on, this is the value 5 bets, where you got 5-star value bet. It was still minus 1.23. And there was actually 19 bets yesterday on those. And I don't think minus 1.23 is too bad, considering the overall scheme of things. It's still, if you look up this column here, you can still see that it's the worst day so far for value, 5-star value bets. But you can see how they were distributed across the stars. And then as far as expert bets go, where we've got at least one expert tip or more, that was minus 4.29, which again, highlighted here, is, and you're going up here, is by far the worst. It's I mean, that's our second worst there, 1.78 negative, and we've got minus 4.29, and there was up 13 bets yesterday. So if I put that, well, I did put £13 on, I lost £4.29. And similarly, I put my 19 5-star bets on here, and I lost £1.23. So we're not talking major money, but it's a five I've lost there, over a fiver. But you're going to have losing days, you're going to have winning days, but that's the key with having this data analysis. You can look and see what's going on. I do want to have a little look at today's bets. Just want to show you something just to go through. You can see all the zeros here. I've already put the Sunday bets in, which is the 11th of the 2nd. You can have a quick look at what I'm betting on as well, because I'm going to filter that on this screen here. So I'm going to change the date from the 10th to the 11th. So if I drop down the bottom, the 11th will be at the bottom there. So these are all today's bets. So if I drop down the list, sorry, these are all today's tips. They're not bets. I'm not putting them all on. So we've got 64 there, I think I counted. So the 64 tips. Yeah. You've got a count here on the bottom right of 64. So we've got 64 tips. So the first strategy I'm using is the where there's at least one expert tip. And if you remember on the OLBG screen, that's where there's a little crown and it says expert tip, and it's going to have a number from 1 upwards. If there isn't a little crown expert tip there, then it's not an expert tip, it's just tipsters. So there's these 6 here then. So we've got 6 out of the 438 rows showing. So these are the 6 expert tips. You can see one expert's tipped this one, and then 2 experts have tipped AC Milan, and 2 experts have tipped Nigeria in the African Nations Cup final tonight. Now, basically, you can see the value here. You've got some overlap. I've got like one expert, and there's four of these 6 bets have got 5 value. But what I do to keep them separate, I'm using one bookies to put £1 on each of these. So I've put £6 on, and I put them all on. And then when I look at the value, I'll do that now. So I think I've used, if I remember correctly, I've used Paddy Power to put. No, sorry, I've used Bet UK to put these on. So I haven't exactly got the exact odds here. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower. I'm not too fussed about that because I'm just putting these down at minimal sort of stake. So I'm keeping it separate, but I'm using Bet UK to do these. And then, I mean, if you've got any problems with this, I would just pay by trade anyway. It's not a problem. I just like to have a bit. It adds a bit of fun when I'm actually doing all this admin work and all this data analysis. It adds to the bit of fun that I'm actually putting some bets on. You can see here I've got 11 here, so I've put these 11 bets on Paddy Power, and there is some overlap. Like AC Milan, for example, is one of the overlaps where you've got an expert bet in value 5. You've got this one's an overlap, this one's an overlap, and this one's an overlap. So on those 4, because they've both got at least one expert bet, expert tip, and they've got a value of 5, then I've put them on at 2 bookies. So these 4 games here will have £2 bets on, £1 on Bet UK, and £1 on Paddy Power. Okay, so that's how I'm doing it. I've got 11 bets on there for £11. So the most I can lose on these 11 bets is £11. And then on the expert bets, I've got 6. So the most I can lose on that one is 6. So the most I can lose is £17 today. But I'm hoping some of these are going to come in. They're going to be better than yesterday. So one of the 2 things I wanted to look at today, just on today's data, is tips and ratings. So column I and J. So tips, if you remember, it'll say something like, say if that one rating's 100, that means there was 5 tips and all 5 have set over 2.5 goals for this game here, which kicks off at 11:15 today, so in about 45 minutes. So there's been 5 tips, and then all 5 have set over 2.5 goals, so the rating is 100. Similarly here, there's been 10 tips for Ajax winning this game here, an away win, and that relates to 100%. So basically, if there's 10 tips and they've all tipped the same, then it shows 100%. So, for example, if there was 10 tips and only 5 predicted this result, then this would be 50%. So you can see a lot of these are high ratings. So the high tips, but that's because they're sort of value 5 and some of them have got expert tips on. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take off this value filter here and just show you some of the problems I'm seeing with Saturdays and Sundays particularly. You kind of get weekend warrior tipsters who come out, probably work in an office Monday to Friday, and then start jumping on that OLBG accounts and just start putting tips on. These two columns here, this column here specifically, the tips, they're not professional tipsters by any stretch of the imagination. Anybody can just create an OLBG account and jump on and start providing tips. I might even do it myself just to record some games that I'm interested in. But you can see this batch here that I'm going to highlight. They've only got one tip and 100% rating. Well, if there's only one tip, there is only going to be 100%. 2 and 100%. That means there's 2 people jumped on this and it's 100%. So what I'm kind of saying here is if you do a rating of 100% here and just put those bets on, you might think that's a good strategy, but I think you really need to look at the number of tips as well at the same time. So the only 2 I'd pick out there is the 2 ones with at least 10, so Ajax and the Fenerbahce. But again, you can see it's 1.18 for the Fenerbahce. Ajax is a little better because they're playing away from home, so they're 1.73. I wouldn't entertain any of these ones because it's just one person predicting. I mean, you can see there that's 8.5 odds, and because they're predicting a 0-0, well, it's only one person's predict that 0-0, so it's going to be 100%. Similarly, this one's 11, and it might even be the same person because they predicted a 0-0 as well. Somebody's obviously looking here to see where there's a couple of low-scoring teams or where games where they're not expecting many goals and predicting a 0-0 draw, which is fine. I mean, you could look at say 10 games and looking for a couple that have got a 0-0 draw. If you win 1 or 2, then you should be up. But I just wouldn't. I wouldn't be looking at ones where you've only got one tip. I would look for at least double figures if you're employing a strategy across tips and rating. It's something I will be looking at, but I'm not at the moment. One other thing I am going to do is I'm going to put a day column in here. So we've got the date, but we haven't got the day. Obviously, I know the 10th was a Saturday and the 11th is a Sunday. But if we put a day in here, we'll be able to, on our data analysis sheet, we'll be able to look by how much profit points-wise we're making on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because I haven't got any proof at the moment, but I'm pretty sure, well, I probably have got proof because I can go. So the 11th, so that's Saturday, highlighted there on the right, 21.93 loss. Friday is pretty bad, 7. And if I go to the previous Saturday, it'll be the 3rd. So that was a 1.4 up. But the Sunday was the 2.73 down. Obviously, we haven't got Sunday's results yet. But they're quite big. That's quite a big loss there. And the more data I build up, the more weekends I can look at. But it'd be nice just to look at everything by day, because then we could just bet on certain days. We wouldn't have to do this 7 days a week. At the moment, I wouldn't be interested in doing it on a Saturday. I don't think I've had a good result on a Saturday. But having said that, there's only been 2. And they haven't been brilliant. Just trying to look at last Saturday on this side. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't negative last Saturday, but I do remember a lot of, I think it just got clawed back near the end as well. I mean, that's not very much up for 78 bets, but it's a lot better than what we've got out the 77 yesterday. So that's it for this one. What I'm going to go do in the next video is I'm going to start going into things like further enhanced data analysis and also looking at cashing out. And there might be 2 separate videos, but I do want to do a video before I end this series on cashing out, because the number of times I've been watching some of these games, especially yesterday, where we could have cashed out for a small profit, but I haven't adopted a cash out policy at the moment. We could have, those games where we could have cashed out with a small profit have gone on to lose. So I do think there's scope for actually more profit than what we're seeing here as well. but I just need to weigh that up against the ones where we didn't cash out in the full profit we make off each game, as opposed to if we did cash out. I mean, I've got like certain in my head rules about cashing out, but I'll come on to that in the next, well, maybe not the next video, but the video after the next one. So yeah, I want to do a bit more analysis, because I'm just concerned. I'm only looking at expert tips on this side on the pivot table, and on this side we've got the value betting. Okay, so that's it for this one. Just a quick update on the car crash that was yesterday on the the OLBG system. And I'll catch you in the next one. Gan Canny.